ask you something. When you hear the word AI, what comes to your mind? Is it a robot, a chatbot that writes for you, or even something you're vaguely worried about? Most people I talk to have two reactions. Either they're excited but overwhelmed because of the noise, too many tools or opinions that they don't even know where to start, or they're skeptical because it feels like it's just hype or like they're being sold to and they don't want to be a part of it. I find both of these reactions reasonable, and to me they make sense, as AI has been sold to us by companies and the media in a way that does not seem honest. Welcome to AI with Mokgere L. On this channel, we will be exploring AI as it's one of the most transformative technologies of our time. Unlike many other technologies, AI is not reserved for programmers or engineers, and you don't need to have a computer science degree or a technical background in order to learn it. If this is your current interest, then this channel is for you, as it will help you understand AI, use it to improve the way you work, create, and even solve problems. Most people are confused by AI because of how it has been delivered to them. Think about how you encounter AI in conversation. One person says AI is going to change everything, and another says AI is going to take all our jobs. Then you hear a tech CEO say AI is like a knife. You can use it to cut bread or to hurt someone. It's up to us to decide how we use it. None of this helps us understand anything. It either puts it on a pedestal or reduces it to something that is scary, or buries it in a language that's designed to impress rather than inform. So what is AI? AI stands for artificial intelligence. If you search the internet, you'll find different definitions of what it is, but they all boil down to the fact that AI is a mathematical prediction engine that simulates or imitates human intelligence. It uses complex algorithms, which is a fancy word to say a step-by-step set of mathematical rules that looks like a mountain of historical data. It spots repeating patterns and uses these patterns to guess what should come next. It does not necessarily think or understand or even experience the world the way humans do, but it can do things that normally require human intelligence, like recognizing images, understanding spoken language, and making decisions. But that's just the umbrella. It's actually very wide. Inside this umbrella, there's an approach called machine learning. So instead of telling the computer what to do as usual, you give it examples instead and let it find patterns. The more examples you give it, the richer the patterns become. The computer learns instead of waiting to be told what to do. Inside machine learning, there's a subset called deep learning. It is loosely inspired by how the neurons of the human brain work. These are good at finding patterns in unstructured data like images, sound, and text. And inside deep learning, we get to generative AI. This is the type of AI that can create new content. So instead of recognizing patterns or making predictions, it creates new content like writing text, generating images, composing music, creating videos, and even coding. Then inside generative AI, we get to what most of us are currently using: large language models or LLMs. This is your ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and the rest. These models are specifically trained on language to generate words. So essentially, AI is a big house, then machine learning is a room in that house, then deep learning would be corner in that room, then generative AI would be a table in that corner, then your large language model will be a chair in that specific corner. So when people say AI in 2026, they almost always mean the chair, even though they say house. Knowing the difference gives us a much clearer way to think about AI. So to understand what an LLM is, imagine you wanted to teach someone to write in a particular way or a particular style. You give them a lot of information to read, millions and billions of sentences from all across the internet, books, research papers, articles, and conversations. You say, read all of this and learn the patterns. Learn what words tend to follow other words, how arguments are structured, what a good explanation feels like, and what makes a sentence clear or confusing. Then you ask them a question and they answer by drawing on all the patterns they absorbed rather than looking it up. Then produce a text that looks like what a good answer to your question looks like. With all of this, AI still doesn't know things. It generates language-based patterns, and most of the time those patterns lead to accurate, useful outputs. But sometimes the patterns lead read them somewhere wrong. It produces something completely right confidently, but actually, it's actually incorrect. This is called hallucination, and it's not a bug or an error that's going to be fixed eventually. It's just a feature of how those models work. Once you understand this, you will know exactly what to trust and what to verify first. That is essentially what an LLM does. It has been trained and fed really large amounts of human written text. The model then adjusts billions of internal settings until it's extraordinarily good at predicting what should come next in any sequence of text. The result is a model that can explain concepts, write code, translate languages, draft documents, answer questions, and engage in conversation. All of this because it learned patterns of human language at a scale no human could read in 1,000 lifetimes. AI is not conscious and does not experience anything. When an LLM like ChatGPT says, I find this interesting, it does not mean it does. It's just a pattern generated from training data. It also doesn't know things the way you know things. You know your friend's face because you've seen it many times in shared experiences, emotions, and memories, whereas AI just knows pattern. It can also confidently describe a study that doesn't exist. Just because the pattern, how a scientific study sounds exist, even though the study itself doesn't. Rich in data as it is, AI is not neutral. The text it was trained on can reflect the world it has been written about, with all its biases, gaps, cultural assumptions, and limitations. Models can reproduce stereotypes, underrepresent certain perspectives, and reflect particular worldviews, and this is all based on the patterns of the data. AI is also not magic, as magic implies something that is beyond explanation, and AI can be explained. It's simply engineering, very sophisticated engineering. And the more you understand how it works, the less mysterious it will be, and the more useful you will find it. AI is a powerful field in technology, and most of what we interact with today is LLMs, large language models. These are trained on large amounts of human text to predict and generate new words. They are extraordinarily capable, but still not conscious. They don't know things the way humans do, and they can confidently say the wrong things and reflect biases in the data they have been trained on. Now I am curious, what did you think AI was before watching this video? Drop your answer in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.